Welcome to the YouTube channel of the Mildred Berryman Institute for Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, Intersex, Queer, and Two-Spirit Plus Utah History. This is a re-recording of a lecture that I, Connell O'Donovan, gave on March 18, 2026 at the Utah Film Center. Now, I first lectured on Madame Rambova and this film some 36 years ago at the Utah Museum of Fine Arts up on the U of U campus. So I'm very grateful for this opportunity from Russell Roots, Kate Sensenig, and the Utah Film Center's Queer Film Festival year-round to visit Natacha Rambova's amazing legacy. In the past, I have incorrectly called Rambova a lesbian, but in truth, we don't know how she identified herself, if at all, but we can say that she had at least one female lover and two husbands. Salomé is a play written by Oscar Wilde, originally written in French and published in 1893, and then translated into English in 1894 by his lover, Lord Alfred Douglas. The play is about John the Baptist, here called Jocanan, and Salomé's attempts to seduce him, Salomé being the stepdaughter and niece of the tetrarch or king of Galilee in Judea, Herod Antipas. Wilde never saw his play produced as he was in Reading jail for sodomy, the only time that it was put on during his lifetime. Oscar Wilde's visit to Salt Lake City in 1882 has been well documented by Randy Hoffman's excellent research. Illustrations for the play were done by Aubrey Beardsley, who died at 25 in 1898. We don't know if he was gay himself, but he was very much a part of Wilde's homosexual clique, quote-unquote. And here we see two of Beardsley's illustrations, that of Salomé with the head of John the Baptist and the famous peacock skirt or robe. Around 1920, Alla Nazimova decided to film the play for the 30th anniversary of its publication in 1923. Alla Nazimova was a Crimean actress born in 1879 who came to Hollywood about 1916, and in 1917 she opened Nazimova Productions, where she was actor, director, producer, editor, and lighting designer, the Barbra Streisand of her day. For Salomé, it is rumored that Nazimova wanted an all-queer cast and crew, and there is some evidence to support this. Revered as the founding mother of sapphic Hollywood, Nazimova was at the head of Hollywood's most famous and infamous sewing circle, the nickname they used for networks of lesbians and bisexual women in early Hollywood. Born Winifred Kimball Shaughnessy in Salt Lake City in 1897, Natacha Rambova was the great-granddaughter of LDS apostle Heber C. Kimball and cousin of LDS President Spencer W. Kimball. Young Winifred was a rebellious teenager, so her mother sent her to a boarding school in England where she learned to dance ballet. Eventually, she moved to New York City to study ballet under Russian dancer Theodore Kozlov. Around this time, she took the name Natacha Rambova and supposedly started affecting a very thick Russian accent, even though she was born in Salt Lake. In 1917, she and Kozlov worked for Cecil B. DeMille and other Hollywood producers as costume designers. And in the late 1910s, Rambova began designing sets and costumes for Alla Nazimova, and as her lover, she became part of Nazimova's sapphic sewing circle. Nazimova then introduced Natacha to the actor Rudolph Valentino in 1921, and Natacha designed this oriental costume for him for the film The Young Raja. Rambova then began to design costumes and sets for the film Salomé in early 1922, with Charles Bryant as the nominal director and Alla Nazimova as actor, writer, producer, and co-director. Here we can compare Aubrey Beardsley's original design for Salomé's peacock skirt and then the interpretation made by Salt Lake City's Natacha Rambova. Natacha also made a brief cameo as one of these attendants in Salomé's veil dance sequence. In the middle of working on Salomé's sets and costumes, Natacha married Valentino in Mexico in May 1922, but he was immediately jailed for bigamy as he was not yet divorced from his first wife. Film production for Salomé finished in late 1922 and had its debut on January 1st, 1923 in New York City. Natacha then remarried Valentino legally in March 1923, but they separated in 1925 and divorced. An avid spiritualist, Natacha claimed to remain in contact with Valentino through mediums after his 1926 death, and she wrote this book about their relationship that even included a letter that she claimed was written to her by Valentino after his death. In 1932, she married Spanish aristocrat Alvaro de Urzaiz, and they toured Egypt in 1936. Natacha fell in love with Egypt and said, "I felt as if I had at last returned home," end of quote. In 1946, she began researching and translating scarab and tomb inscriptions, believing she would find a metaphysical connection between ancient Egypt and ancient America, which is a very Mormon concept. She became quite a respected Egyptologist and wrote this volume, Mythological Papyri, in 1957. But in the late 1950s, she started to get malnourished because of an illness that made it difficult for her to swallow. This led to paranoid psychosis due to her malnourishment, and she died in June 1966. She has collections in Yale University and the Philadelphia Museum of Art, as well as the Natacha Rambova collection of Egyptian antiquities at the Utah Museum of Fine Arts on the U of U campus. Note that in the opening credits of the film, the writer shown as Peter M. Winters was in fact Natacha's lover at the time, Alla Nazimova. The Mildred Berryman Institute greatly appreciates any donation, large or small, that you can make to help us with our mission. And then our next month's lecture is on Thursday, April 16th at 6 p.m. at Signature Books, 508 West, 400 North. We hope you will join us for a history roundtable where Randy Hoffman, Megan Weiss, and myself discuss our works on Utah queer history. Again, thank you to the Utah Queer Film Festival and the Utah Film Center.